Hi everybody, welcome back to class 12 preparation series. In the previous video, we revised all 4 major data types: string, list, tuple and dictionary. Along with that, we have solved a bunch of PYQS to build your confidence. Now it's time to cover the next important and high scoring topic, functions. Here what we will cover in this video: what is function and why do we need it, the types of function in Python, built-in, user-defined as well as the functions from the modules. Next we will be understanding what is argument and parameters, and then we will learn the types of parameter passing, positional, keyword and default. After that we will get to know about the return statement and we will try to understand what is the difference between passing mutable and immutable data type to function. Then without further delay, let's get started. Alright, let's try to understand what is function. Function is a subprogram, or we can say it's a block of code which performs a specific task. There are a lot of advantages of writing function in a program. If we take example of user-defined function in real life, it is just like carpenter, plumber or electrician. They perform their task and as and when we want, we can call them. Functions support modularity. It means we can break down the bigger problem into smaller one. It avoids confusion. Even it reduces the program size. With all these pros, it is easy to manage program, and reusability is the most important advantage of the function. We can use them as many times as we want. So once we write the code and we use many times. Now let's talk about the types of function. The first one is built-in functions. Here are some of the examples of built-in function. We need not include any module for that. They are already built into the programming language. The second type is the functions which are in some modules. Here is one module named math. If you want to use these functions, we must include this module using import statement. And the last type of function is user-defined function. User can create their own functions for their functionality. These two are developed by the developers, but this user can create their own functions. Alright then, if you want to create our own functions, we should know how to do it. For that, we will be following this syntax. First of all, we should write this keyword def followed by the function name. And here are the parameters which we are passing to the functions. With colon, block of code will get created and here are the statements which are part of the function. Here is a simple example of function def message and the empty brackets. We are not passing any parameter here. This function prints simple message. If you want function should work on your past data, then you need to pass these parameters. So this function will calculate the sum of two numbers passed by the main program. Here are different names given to the different parts of the function. The first part is function name. It is nothing but identifier. These are the parameters, or we can say argument to the function. This complete line is known as function header. The block of statements is called as body of the function. And using return statement, we generally return the computed or the calculated value to the main program. And this whole thing is the definition of the function. Don't worry, there are so many new concepts, but as we progress through this topic, you will get it easily. We know that if we have some work related to furniture at our home, we must call the carpenter, then only carpenter will come to your home. In the same way, we need to call function. For that, we have to follow this syntax. We will be writing the function name, and if we have parameters, that also we will pass. Alright, we are in VS Code. Let's create one simple function. Write the keyword def. Here is the name of the function. We are printing one simple message with the user-defined function. Write colon, press enter. Here is the block of the function. Let's use print statement and let's print one simple message hi. In this way, function got created. If you will execute it, you will not get any message because we must call the function, then only it will get executed. For that, we must write the function name followed by the brackets. These are empty because we are not passing any parameter. Now let's execute this once again. Look at the output. We got the message. The way you can call carpenter as many times as you want, you can call this function also as many times as you want. So let's write it once again. Now let's execute and check the output. Look at the output. The message is getting printed 2 times. It means we are reusing the code. That's why reusability is one of the advantage of functions. Alright, we created one simple function without any parameters. Now let's understand how to pass the parameter to the function. For that, let's understand these two terms. First is argument and the second one is parameter. Look at one simple example for that. Here is the function call. When we pass the value from the function call to the user defined function, that values are called as arguments. It is also called as actual arguments. And the values which are received in the function definition are the parameters. It is also called as formal parameters. Generally, arguments and parameters words are used interchangeably, but we should know the difference between them. In the function call we have arguments and in the function definition we have parameters. Before writing any function with parameters, let's understand different parameters also. There are three types of parameters. First is positional, second one is default and third one is keyword. Generally we use positional arguments. Don't bother too much about the word argument and parameters. They will be used interchangeably. From the function call we pass arguments to the parameters. So all the parameters must have values. It is called as positional argument because their position matters. The first value will get stored in the first variable and the second value will get stored in the second variable. It means what? Arguments will get matched with the parameters, that is position wise. Alright, then let's write one simple program. We will calculate the sum of two numbers. So here is the name of the function, calculate sum, and here we will provide the parameter list. Let's take two variables, number 1, comma number 2, followed by colon. When we pass parameter, the function will be working on the passed values. It means the main program will have control over the function. Let's take one variable result and store the addition of number 1 and number 2. If you want to print the result here itself, we can do it. Let's print it. Later we will discuss how to return the result back to the main program. We store the result in the result variable. Alright, the function got created. Now let's call it. Without calling, it will not get executed. The name of the function is calculate sum. We need to provide two values to it. So let's take 10 and 20. 10 will get stored in number 1 and 20 will get stored in number 2. We are calculating the addition of two numbers and printing the result. Let's execute and check the output. Look at the result. We got 30. In this way, we have written one simple user-defined function with two parameters. Alright, now let's discuss the second way of passing parameters. If you want to assign some default value to the parameter, then you will be using the concept of default argument. In the function header, we will be writing that parameter as a last parameter. In between, you cannot write it and assign some value to it. What's the advantage of it? If you will not pass this value will get considered. But if you pass the value, that value will get the priority. So tell me what will be the result if we pass only two values. The third value will get considered z equals to 10. It means we will be adding 2 plus 3 plus 10. We will get 15. What about this function call? We are passing 4 here. It means the value of z will be 4. So the result will be 2 plus 3 plus 4. It will be 9. Alright, let's change the same program with the default parameter. Let's add one more variable here, number 3. And we will pass some default value as 50. Now we are passing 3 values. It means we need to calculate the sum of 3 numbers. So let's write it also. We already have one function call. First two values will be 10 and 20. Third value will be 50. Let's execute and check the output. Look at the output. We got 80. 10 plus 20 is 30. 30 plus 50 is 80. Now let's call this user-defined function once again by providing all 3 values. Let's write 1, 2, 3. It's time to check the output. Look at the output. When we pass the value, that value will get considered. This type of arrangement gives the flexibility to the user to not pass all the parameters. You can skip one parameter. If you want to give default value to some parameter, that can be achieved with this arrangement. Let's consider one real life example. If teacher wants to give some grace marks to all the students, then we can do this with default argument. Here is the third way of passing parameter called as keyword or name parameter. In this, we pass the parameter with name. Look at this function call. We are writing the name of the variable along with its value. The value of x will be 10 and y will be 20. We are passing the value with name, that's why it is called as name parameter. What is the use of it? We can change the order, we can send it in any order. Because we are passing with the name, same name we will be using here also. So there is no problem with the order. Let's modify the same program. We are calling the function. We will pass the parameter with the name. So number 1 will be 10. Let's pass the second parameter. Number 2 will be 20. It's time to execute and check the output. Look at the output, we got 30. Let me show you, if we change the order also, there will be no problem. First we are writing number 2 equals to 20 and then we will write number 1 equals to 10. Then also we will get the same output. Look at the output, we got 30. In this case, the value of number 2 will go to number 2 variable itself and number 1 value will get stored in number 1. Let me show you by printing number 1 and number 2. Let's print first number 1 and then we will print number 2. After the execution of the program, look at the output. Number 1 is 10 and number 2 is 20 and the result is nothing but 30. That is only the advantage of using name parameter. If we change the order also, the value will go to that particular variable itself. But make sure you are writing the same variable name here. You cannot change the variable name. You cannot write some different name here, otherwise you will get the error. Look at the code. It is showing error. Here is one more important concept related to user-defined function, that is returning the value from the function. This will be our user-defined function and here will be main program. From main we pass the value to the functions. Function will work on that value and the process value will send back to the main program. It is like a give and take relationship. With this main program we will have control over user-defined function. If the process value will return back to the main, we can proceed further with our code. Why we do this? Let's try to understand with one real example. Suppose this main program is me and this user-defined function is nothing but carpenter. I call carpenter for some furniture work. I want to make one study table for myself. I decided to give the stuff to the carpenter like wood, ply and nails. Carpenter will work on and give back that study table to me. Isn't it meaningful? Carpenter will not keep this study table with him. He needs to give back to me so that I can use this study table for my purpose. This is how the passing of data between main and user-defined function works. But it is not necessary. Some function will return value, some function may not return value. Ideally, we send back the value to the main. So let's understand, if you want to send back value to the main program, how we do it. For that we will be using return statement. After return we will be writing value. It can be constant, it can be a variable or it can be an expression also. Look at this simple example. We are passing two values to the user defined function. It is adding them up and returning the result to the main program. We can accept it in a variable or directly also we can print it on the screen. Generally, we stored it in a variable so that we can use it further. Alright, this was a simple user-defined function. Now let's modify it and return back the value to main. Then we will not print this result in the user-defined function. We will return it back. For that we will be using return statement. After that, let's write this variable name result. When we are passing back, there should be some arrangement to accept that value. Either you take it in a variable or print it directly on the screen. Let me take one variable first. So the value which is returned back will get stored now in this variable. That variable we can print using print statement. Let's print and check the output. Here is the variable name addition. Let's execute this program. Look at the output. We got 30. So this is the ideal way. In this way, we send values to the user-defined function. User-defined function works on it and gives the process value back to the main program. Hope you understood this concept. It is not necessary that you must return value. In that case, you will be printing the result here itself. One point we will note down that in Python, if you don't send any value, then also none will send back to the main program. Look at this example. Here is one simple user-defined function printing some message. If we will accept that function in a variable and print it, you will get none. Alright, then based on the criteria that you are passing the parameter to the user defined function and you are returning back the value from the user defined function to the main program or not, there are 4 different combinations of functions. Here void means you are not returning any value back to the main program, and non-void means you are returning back value to the program. Based on that, again there will be 2 types, without argument, with argument. In the same way, if you are returning value back, then also you have 2 options, without argument and with argument. If this seems complicated to you, look at these examples. Same examples are written in all 4 combinations. This is a simple program of addition of 2 numbers. What is the first possibility? Void function without argument. It means you are not returning value, not passing any parameter. Not passing any parameter means this bracket will be empty. If you are not passing any parameter means function needs to take its own values. It took its own value, calculated it and printed it because we are not passing anything back to the main program. Hope you understood the first type. Now what's the second type? Void function with argument. With argument means you are passing some value to the user defined function. Calculation is done, but it's a void function. Void means you are not returning back anything. It means you will print the result in the user defined function itself. Alright, let's check out the third type. Non-void function without argument. Non-void means you are returning the value back to the main. Without argument means you will not pass any parameter to the user defined function. You are not passing any parameter to the user defined function means user defined function will take its own value. You are returning the value back means you will accept it in some variable. With the hope that you are getting what I am trying to explain, I am moving ahead to the last possibility. Non-void function with argument. Non-void means you understood, right? We are returning the value. With argument means you are passing the value also. It means there is a give and take relationship between user defined function and main. You are passing the value and returning back also. If you are passing the value, let's pass the value. 10 and 20 is getting passed. Calculating the result and you are returning back the result to the main. That's why we have return statement also. If you will understand these 4 combinations means you understood everything about functions. So I would suggest to practice these 4 types yourself. Alright, with that let's proceed to the next topic. We talk about returning value to the main program. In Python, we can return more than one value. This is not possible in other programming language, not in C, C++, even in Java. But in Python, we can pass back many values at the same time. Look at this simple example. We are passing back 2 values at the same time. When we pass back, one tuple will get created. When you will print it, you will get to know one tuple will get created. The answer will be this. If you don't want the answer back in tuple, you can do tuple unpacking. So based on the number of returning value, write the name of the variables. First value will get stored in first variable, second value will get stored in second variable. Then you can print those variables v1 and v2. So this is the unique feature of Python. We can send back multiple values at the same time. Alright, related to function, this is also one of the important concept, that is nothing but scope. Scope will decide the accessibility of the variable. Because main is also a block of code and user defined function is also a block of code. So scope of a variable will decide where it can be accessible. There are 2 types of scope, global and local. Let's understand in short. Main will have the global scope, whereas user defined function will have the local scope. And main is just like whole apartment if you are staying in apartment, or consider it's a complete city. Alright, let's discuss about global scope. It is a top level segment of the program. It means what? If a variable declared in the main program, it is accessible throughout the program. Even it is accessible inside a particular block of code. Let's take this example. This is the main program. In program we have declared two variables n1 and n2. It is visible throughout the program, even it is visible inside the function also. If you will try to access these variables inside the block, it is accessible. You can print it because it has a global scope. Then what is local scope? If a variable is declared inside a block, that variables are called as local variables. It will be accessible only within that block, not outside of that block. So in this example, if you will try to access ABC variables outside the block, you will get error. Look at this example. str is declared inside the block, so it's a local variable. You cannot access it outside. You will get error. Alright, we are in VS Code. Let's understand the concept of local scope and global scope with the example. This is user defined function and this is our main program. Let's declare one variable with some value. If we will try to print the value of variable A, we can do it. Because A has global scope, it is accessible everywhere. Can we access this variable A inside the block? Yes, we can do it. Let's print the value of A inside the function. Let me add one message to make it clear. We are in function. Let's add message here too. We are in main program. Let's give one space to make it clear. It's time to execute. Here is the output. In main also we are able to access it. The value is 10. In function also we are able to access that value. The value is 10. It means A has global scope. It is accessible throughout the program, even inside the block. But look at these variables, number 1, number 2 and result. These are local variables because it is declared inside the block. If you will try to access it outside the block, then you will get the error. Let's try to print the value of result. Here is the name of the variable result. You can see here it is also not showing in the list and showing error here itself. Let's execute and check it. Look at the output. We are getting exception name error. Name result is not defined because this part of main doesn't know what is result variable. The scope of result is local. It is defined within the block. We can use it within the block itself, not outside. Hope global and local variables are clear to you. You might get this doubt in your mind. What if both the variable names are same, global as well as local? Look at this example. We have one global variable as well as one local variable. And if I want the value of the global variable inside the block, you know what will happen? The function will give priority to the local variable, not to the global one. In that case, you will be using global keyword. If you use global keyword in front of the variable name, it will consider the global variable. Look at the code and look at the output. You will understand. With global str, I am telling this block of code to consider the global variable and I am printing it. So, here is the output. Hi from main block. Then we are creating one local variable with the same name and printing it. Look at the output. We got the message hi from local block. So highest priority is given to the local variable. That's why Python follows this LEGB rule. First the local variable will get considered, then enclosed, global and then built-in. For now we will concentrate on local and global variables. Here is one more concept when we are dealing with function, that passing mutable data type and immutable data type. First let's understand what happens when we pass immutable data type to the function. You know what are immutable data types. Immutable data types are numbers, string and tuples. We pass value to the user defined function. But we know in Python variable is just a reference. So when we create new variable, new reference will get created. In this example there is one variable, 10 value is assigned to it and we are passing it to the function. In user defined function we have taken variable name n. Now look at this diagram. These two variables are different. The value of num got initialized to n also. Inside the user defined function we are working on the n. We incremented the value of n. So 10 plus 5 will be 15. Look at the diagram. We actually worked on the variable n. It doesn't mean we are changing the value of number. Number is unchanged. When we are printing the value of number, it is 10. But in function n got changed to 15. So what we understood, if we are passing immutable data type, the changes in the function will not reflect to main. Whereas if we are passing mutable data type, changes will reflect to main also. Look at the example. Here is one list. It is of mutable data type. Mutable data types are list and dictionary. We are passing list to the function. In the function, we updated the value of the first element. From 10, it became 15 now. If we are printing the list in the function, we got 15, 20, 30. And after the changes, we are printing the list in the main. Look at the output. The changes reflected back in main too. So let's summarize. If we pass immutable data type, the changes in the user defined function will not reflect back to main. Whereas if we are passing mutable data type, the changes of the user defined function will reflect back to main. It means what changes will reflect back depending on the data type. Hope you understood this concept. It is very important. Alright, we are done understanding the theory of function. Now it's time to solve the questions based on it, that we will be covering in the next video. If you are excited to master function, drop I am ready in the comments, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe for the upcoming practice session. So until next time, stay motivated, keep practicing. I will see you in the next video.